Hey, I hope you're doing well. I want to thank you for being a part of this training. It's called Leading from a Centered Life. It's all about finding more of yourself to give. My name is Peter Burchfield. I am a pioneer at heart. I'm a husband, I'm a girl dad in training, second generation pastor, and executive coach. And I wanted just to invest some time into you. And hopefully, you're in this category. You're faith centered, you're future focused, and you're on a leadership journey. You're willing to become frontline ready. And that's really what we need. We need more leaders that are centered, that are preparing, and that are willing to show up and be a reliable leader when and where it counts. And so, my intention is to invest a little bit of time into you, that you have the encouragement that you need to kind of shake up the clutter and define real internal clarity, and then that you would find a framework that you could run with and begin to expand your capacity to be a leader in every area of your life. And then finally, that you would see a path to grow closer with other like minded leaders in the context of a community. And so those are my three kind of running objectives, helping you experience real, lasting clarity, then see a practical, actionable framework for capacity, and then giving you an invitation to be a part of my leadership community. Now, there's no pressure. You can take this conversation and put it on the shelf and keep going on with your life. But if there's one thing you hear that helps, tip the scales for you in a positive direction, then this conversation was worth it for me. Leaders need encouragement, and leaders need endurance. And we've got to take time to encourage one another, and then to put in the life skills and the leadership skills that actually fortify us for the long haul. So, with that in mind, let's get to it. Let me find the slide that I need. I've got a question for you. If you could give more hours each week to the areas you care about, would you do it? That's an obvious answer, right? I think, yeah, absolutely. If there were somehow a way to get 25 hours a week or 25 hours a day, if there was a way I could sleep less, be more productive, do more with my time, yeah, I think I would absolutely do that. Um, let's keep playing the game. If you could give more money each year to the areas you really care about, I mean, these are like the most passionate parts of your life, right? And you could give that money freely and frequently without second guessing yourself, without feeling like you've just done something horribly wrong, without feeling like there's going to be some sort of revenge or consequence for the sincerity and the generosity that you just kind of gave almost thoughtlessly about, but like you just weren't thinking of yourself. You weren't thinking about what you needed in the moment. You were just thinking about the joy of giving away something to others. Would you do that as well? And honestly, I think you would. I would. If I knew that I could give more money to the things I'm really passionate about, then yeah, that sounds amazing, right? Um, and then finally, if you could give more value to the people you're leading, like your family, your business, your community, your ministry, now the question is not would you, but what's holding you back? What's holding you back? Because the whole reason we need some sort of gentle, genuine intervention is because something has been holding us back. It might be an internal limiting belief. It might be some sort of, capacity breakdown. It might be some relational barrier. There might be some organizational dysfunction. There's something, it seems, that it feels is holding me back from giving more of my time, giving more of my money, and then ultimately giving more value to the people that I'm leading, and the things that I love being a part of. And what we're going to discover is that leaders have a chronic condition that I call being overcommitted. And there's actually a good reason that you are chronically overcommitting yourself. And it's not a showstopper. I mean, you can definitely, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once understand what's happening, then you take a breath and you say, okay, I think I could work through that. But there's a really good reason why leaders, like business owners and entrepreneurs and executive leaders, ministry leaders, why you feel so passionate about something, and then you find yourself stuck in the consequences of your own commitments. It's like, man, I bought into this dream when it was so promising, and now I am just stuck with the lesser than reality of the work and the progress, and just where it's at now. It's not really what I see. There's so much more available. There's more potential here. If I could just figure out how to give more of myself to this, then it would be better, right? And you can take that logic and multiply it out again and again and again. And you say the same thing, man, my health. I mean, I'm thankful that I am healthy, but I could be so much more healthy. I could be stronger and more agile and fit. And so now you start to storyboard that out, right? And you're overcommitting somewhere, somehow, again and again, whether it's actually on the calendar or whether it's just some sort of personal intention that you're trying to keep track of and not forget. And it's like, okay, I have to stay intentional about that and that and that and that. Why do we do this to ourselves? Because nobody's like expecting it of us. We set such high expectations of ourselves. And the reason is simply you care. You care about a lot. And that's why we're chronically overcommitted. It shows that you care. It shows that you have a heart. It shows that you are a genuine leader that has, vision and discipline to roll up your sleeves and show up again and again and again. And yet, that good value can be misused and abused, and it can turn into a form of self-sabotage. That you really have good intentions, and yet it's holding you back because you feel so deeply about your faith and your family and your community and your business and the ministry and the thing and the goals and all of it. And yet caring so much about so much is actually busting at the seams of your own sense of capacity. You're literally pushing on the boundaries of what's humanly possible, right? And unless and until we get that clarity, capacity, community going all in the same direction, working together synergistically, then it's impossible and it's frustrating in the process. And now the thing that energized you to say yes is draining you day by day by day. And you just don't have the courage to say no because it came from a good place. It came from somewhere where you thought this would be valuable. And so what happens is we get lost in this kind of picture where you are somewhere in the middle, and all the things you care about are growing all around you. And so now you're, if this page, if this slide was like your own head heart space, you're trying to keep track of so many different tabs, and it's bogging down your system. And they're all good. I mean, they're all important, right? Family, prayer, home, faith, friends, thinking ahead, mentorship, health and fitness, financial stability, servant leadership, investing, making an impact, life skills, leveling up, traveling. I mean, just on and on. Wouldn't this all be amazing, right? If you could be a level 10 in all of these categories? Yeah. But now the thing that excited you is becoming a part of self-sabotage. And the only remedy we have, because we really don't like to say no to ourselves. We don't like restraint. We don't like finding the way, the narrow way to go further faster. And so instead, we just say, yeah, I'm going to do it all. These are things I've chosen. These are things that I value. These are things that I'm going to do. And now we start to juggle priorities. And it's not like you can just throw these things up in the air. Y'all, these are weighty commitments. These are deep internal values that you've been shaping and that have been shaping you over time for a really long time. And so, really, these are weighty commitments that you've held on to. And now you're throwing these heavy, weighty values around, and you're trying to keep them going. And it takes effort. And whenever you're juggling, it's an endless game. You literally can't stop it because gravity continues to keep you going. It's like, I just threw this up in the air. If I don't throw something else up, this thing's going to come crashing down. And then there's an element of speed. The more you commit, the faster you have to lead. Then there's complexity because now there's more moving parts, and it's draining because over time you've been doing the same thing and the mental load is wearing down on you. Physically, you're tired of playing that game, and yet these are real values that you can't stop. And so either we give up or we burn out or we just wonder why. Why are we doing so much work just to keep things in a state of activity instead of really making progress in our life? And so here's kind of the first shift that I want us to entertain, to be open to. What if you made a mental shift from I need to be everywhere, and we'll clarify what that means. I need to be everywhere, and you just shift your focus to I am here for a reason. I need to be everywhere, right? That's the mindset of juggling priorities. I need to be here and there. And on Tuesday, I'm going there. And next month, I need to do this. I mean, it's good to have a plan. Don't get me wrong. But instead of feeling pressured to dot, 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 whether pressure we put on ourselves or pressure that is put on us by others, pressure of the unknown, pressure of failing, pressure of fear of missing out, pressure of not happening fast enough, pressure of I should have been here by this age, I should have had this much money by this age, I should have had this thing going, I've put so many years into this team, I've put so many years into this dream. Now, where's the fruitfulness of it? And instead of feeling pressured to dot, 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 be everywhere, imagine yourself practicing presence. Practicing presence. Hey, I'm here on purpose. I'm here because There's a reason. I'm up for the challenge. I'm going to give it my all. I have what it takes. And see, the difference is no matter what you're doing now, you're 100% there for it. That is a small shift in thinking, but a massive difference in experience. And so that's the power of living from a centered life. When you are not centered, you have gravity working against you. You're throwing up all these priorities, you're juggling the priorities, and gravity is pulling them down to the ground. And if you do not catch them and keep them moving, you lose. You lose time, you lose opportunity, you lose chances, you lose your reputation because things that you said you were going to make successful have now failed in front of you and those watching you. That's not fun. But now we're taking a different approach. Now, instead of gravity working against us, trying to juggle all those priorities, what if we found a center that was big enough, strong enough, constant enough that now everything has orbit, everything is moving in sequence, everything is flowing together because there is real gravity at the center that is keeping it all going. Not you, not talking about you, because when you're juggling, you are the center of gravity fighting against gravity. But now, when you find your center, it's greater than you. It can move your life in a positive direction, and it's constant. It's constant. So now you can stay at rest. You can literally be at rest, knowing that all the moving parts that are happening around you, they're not depending on you ultimately. Yeah, you're the leader. Yeah, you're the decision maker. Yeah, you're going for it. That's wonderful. But man, every leader needs the confidence to be at rest in where they are, to be 100% present in the moment. That's what our friends need. That's what your family needs and your team needs. They need to know that you are there for them, that you are 100% here in any moment, every moment. That when you're in the gym, you're 100% there. And when you're at the meeting, you're 100% there. And what we've done in the leadership space is we've justified multitasking and drift, mission drift, and fragmentation and silos and isolation. I mean, it's just crippling our teams because they don't know where you really are. You're here, but you're emotionally there. You say you're with this thing, and yet you're always thinking about this backup plan because you are at the core restless and not at rest. And it's because when things feel out of control, and leaders get challenged by that because that's on them, right? They want to have this sense of control. And when things are out of control, it just shows us that actually there's a leader somewhere nearby that is not centered. It's not centered. And every team member, every family member, every community member just wants to know that the leader nearby is centered, is solid, is settled, is secure. I mean, what would that communicate without words if you could show people that you are present and that you're available and that the work you do is quality? I mean, I'm just inspired by this. I got to keep moving with the slides. What does it look like to lead from a centered life? Now, I know I said there are 4 insights to leading from a centered life. We're going to get there, but I want to just share a simple framework. Think of it as a journey, your own leadership journey. And I didn't put it on the slide, but where we're starting with is that we are all living in a cluttered world. And for leaders, they live in the most cluttered world. Their lives are cluttered with all of these obligations and pent up expectations. And you get too cluttered to be helpful. You get too cluttered to be a leader. You get too cluttered to make a difference. And anytime you lose that sense of clarity, you have just diluted the definition of your leadership. So clarity matters. And the way we're going to find that clarity is internal and personal, and having time for reflection, so we're actually living with this genuine, authentic sense of direction. And you've got to learn how to center yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you. No one else can. No one else will. So clarity is amazing. You get this burst of vision and understanding and wisdom. And now you're no longer stuck in a past present mode, just kind of working out of your wins of what you've already done, just trying to keep your successes going, just taking your vision and making it bigger and better and bigger and better. And now you've lost touch with the future. You're out of touch with the future. So leaders have to be future present. They've got to be really wide-eyed and respectful about what is always showing up like a sunrise. All right. The new day is always dawning. We need to be there for it. All right. So then we're getting that clarity. We're finding our center. Center is so important. I'm going to share a little more context from my story, but getting that clarity helps you to find your center. Then it's time to get to work. Okay. It's not just about sitting around and thinking. It's about actually taking action. Because when you take action, you start getting traction. And that's what we need to make progress in our leadership journey. And so it's about growing our capacity. And that's the process of self-leadership. That's why you have to lead yourself. You're a leader, and yet you don't want to lead the one person who matters most, which is you. It's so easy to manage other people. Yeah, it's easy to be the armchair quarterback. What about putting yourself in the game and leading yourself? Why don't you follow through your own intentions? Why don't you develop some disciplines on your own when no one else is watching? Why don't you be a leader in private, so that way you go through the process of learning how to stay encouraged, stay engaged, and then that's what you export to other people. You export the tools that you used to lead yourself, and now you are leading by example. You're not leading by excuses. You're not leading by the exception, saying, well, I'm going to tell you to do this, but really I don't want to try it because it's too hard for me. No, lead yourself. And as you do, as you're willing to put in that kind of work, I call it future work, you're actually growing your capacity. And that builds confidence for you, competence for what you do, and people respect that. They are grateful for people that are grounded, that are growing, and that are willing to share that journey with them. And then finally, we end up at this kind of destination, which is community. And this is where you're part of something that's bigger than yourself, and the why that you carry is transferable to other people. And this is where everything that you've had on the inside now goes far beyond you in untold ways. And your leadership goes to unparalleled levels because you have found the value of leading from a centered life. And it doesn't mean that you have to be the center of attention, because you have a center that is better than you being the center of attention. And now you are excited about others becoming grounded and growing. And you're excited about seeing them, take root and bear fruit in their context as well. And so it's about being surrounded by other people that are going in this direction, finding your common ground, building together, and ultimately you will learn what it looks like and why it's valuable, and then you'll give the rest of your life, you'll make it your life's work to create an ecosystem where other leaders can grow and become amazing, uh, with this kind of support system in place. So this is my framework. I want to invite you into it. And this is the same slide, but I just changed those subtitles at the bottom because this really does shape the work that I do. And I want to invite you into it for a moment. Clarity. How do we get real clarity? Is by being faith centered. You know, as a person of faith, I follow Jesus Christ as a way of life. My faith in Jesus is not just some archaic religion. It's a real, genuine relationship that I have with the Creator. And God is real, and Jesus Christ shows me how good He is. And now I have this ongoing relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And He is the center of my life. And as a leader, I think that's helpful. One, for the people around me to understand that, but two, they realize that the person at the top of the org chart is not motivated by narcissism, but actually deeply humbled by the grace of God, and is given over to a life example of servant leadership and sacrifice. So I think that being faith centered in the leadership space is actually a positive thing, never a negative thing. Sure, there are, case studies that show the abuses where people get the wrong ideas, project the wrong messages. But I'm telling you, at the core, if you want to really be solid for others, then have a faith center. And now, when we talk about the work of our capacity building, you got to be future focused, because if you are living reactive, you're just being reactive, just the things that are happening, you know, a lazy person is living not even in the moment, they're living in the past. And a boring person is just kind of doing their habits. But a really proactive person is thinking about things that other people haven't even thought of yet, and they're working on things in an intentional, incremental way to get there. And so I just want to encourage you to grow your capacity. You have to be thinking about the future of every area you care about. Think about the future of your health. Contrast. If I do nothing, this happens. If I do something, this happens. If I do more than that, this happens. And you begin to visualize what is possible when you get proactive and when you take action. It's an amazing experience. Be future focused. Leaders who are future focused are going to be the winners, because the winners of the future are not going to be the most productive, right? All the robots and the AI tools and things, they're plenty productive for everybody, but the winners of the future are going to be the most prepared. The most prepared. And being future focused is the willingness to see a hopeful future, and they're willing to wait it out and work on it day by day by day. And then finally, this community of leaders need to pull together, because we will need real leadership on the front lines of your work, your ministry, your business, your family. We need real leadership on so many front lines, in so many fields, so many contexts. And it's going to take a community of leaders that really rise to that occasion. So I shared kind of this journey with you. Now I want to summarize what we talked about in the 4 insights. These are the 4 insights that is hopefully going to encourage you to keep going and keep growing. Number 1, why we get chronically overcommitted. It's actually it comes from a good place. We deeply care about a lot of different areas in our life, and we don't know how to see a clear framework that makes that all work cohesively. And so then we have to juggle all those priorities. We are plunged into the complexity and the clutter of it all. And we've got to make a pivot, a real decision. And I hope you make this decision tonight, today, whenever you're watching this. How are you going to stop juggling those priorities? By finding your center, by getting a centered approach. Because it now gravity's not working against you, gravity's working for you. Now, what I'm not saying is that this centered life is that everything and everybody should be revolving around you. Man, that's not healthy. That's not cool. That's toxic. You need to say no and move on. Self-centered is not the same as centering yourself. And here's the difference. It's very simple. No one else can, no one else will center for you. No one else will lead like only you can lead yourself. And that's a lot of responsibility, to take on that kind of practical functional sovereignty, but it's true. You have agency, and you will either use it or you will abuse it and ultimately lose it. You don't want to be a slave to all of the things going on around you. You want to use that agency positively, rise up and be a leader. And leadership starts with you. And if you do it, I think if you do it right, leadership always starts with you, but never ends with you. And then number 4, real effective leadership looks like both a lifestyle of staying centered and expanding capacity. You say, well, Peter, which is it? Is it staying put or is it going out? It's both. Because when you learn how to find your center, stay centered, now you have the energy, capacity, longevity to go further out in every direction. And you're not being pulled apart, torn apart, scatterbrained, but now you live out of that place of strength and it just keeps flowing out of you. It keeps growing out of you. You keep pushing the boundaries further, faster, and it's easier. Things that were hard to do are now easy to do. Things that would take a long time now take a much shorter time. And even if you're in a patient process, there's still real treasure that's being discovered day by day in your field. It looks like both. We've got to have both. And so I want to just kind of pull the curtains back and share with you from my own story why this matters to me so much. Because I grew up uh, as a dreamer. I love dreaming about what's possible and how I can help people and how I can honor God and how I can do more and experience more with my life. And I felt so frustrated because I was out there mentally, but I wasn't able to go there personally, and it affected my leadership. I actually was frustrating people. I was discouraging people. I was making things harder on the people around me because in reality, I wasn't there for them. I wasn't present. I wasn't centered. And there is no substitute for feeling centered. And eventually I said, I've got to figure this out because man, I feel like I have vision in so many different directions, and yet that's the thing that's holding me back. Is that now it's made me cluttered, it's made me scatterbrained, it's made me go in so many directions at once, and I'm not being effective in any of these areas because they're all kind of clashing against each other. And I just said, man, there's got to be a way where all of these areas are working together. What do I need? What is missing? And I realized, man, I've been a Jesus follower my whole life, but it really is this simple. If I lose myself for his sake, I'll find myself again. I'll find a new life. I'll find a better way, the narrow way to get into the hopeful future. I said, I'm going to do this for real. I'm really going to live this faith centered life. And I'm going to take the best parts of my visionary, dreaming, creativity skills. And I'm going to stay future focused. I'm going to work at this intentionally and incrementally. I'm going to find this structure that I can use to build my life and build my future and build my leadership with. And I'm going to find other people that I can do this with. And by God's grace, that's been my story. That's exactly what he has done. He gave me a framework that I'd love to share with you later on. We kind of ran out of time, but it's called the Life Compass. And it really is the main framework that I use in my coaching and my community. I'm going to share it with you briefly here. I have one priority. That's it. Not multiple priorities. I'm not juggling things anymore. I have one priority and I have 4 responsibilities. And yes, I have a lot of words that I would put on my vision board, so to speak, but they all fit into these categories. They have a place, they have a purpose, and that matters. The Lord is my priority. This is my case study. The Lord is my priority. That's how I stay centered, and it's where I find presence. That's His presence. Yes, is my reward. But now I'm living that kind of lifestyle, and now I've learned the value of being present for other people as well. And now my 4 responsibilities are working on myself, whether that means getting prepared for the future of where I need to be, or future self, serving my family. That's my wife. I'm a girl dad. Amen. My wife is 39 weeks pregnant as of this recording. So I'm a girl dad in training, and all the details on the home front. I want to be a strength and not a burden. All right. Stewarding my work territory. That's a combination of influence, income, investments, et cetera. Right. There's a lot to figure out, but now it's not stressful. Now it's strategic. And maybe you've been feeling too stressed out about all the things you think you need to do or haven't done or will do in the future. And if you learned how to trust a strategic approach, one that is rooted in something that's very reliable, then you could go further faster in your leadership journey too. And then finally is sharing my community and my ministry with other people. And that's this expression, right, of developing, cultivating relationships and multiplying resources well. So there it is. And this is actually used in my community and in my coaching as the life compass, north, south, east, west. We talk about it. But instead of getting into the details, what I want to share with you, and the reason I'm willing to share this treasure, it's a real treasure for me to give this framework to you. And I don't know your context and I don't know what you're going to do with this, but I'll tell you, if you respect these values, then you can make uncharted progress in every direction of your life. And that is the reason why you've got to figure out how to lead yourself from a centered life. Because if you're cluttered and your life feels chaotic and you call yourself the leader, what good is that? But what really brings meaning and fulfillment to our life is when we have these promises that we can make progress with. And keeping promises is so important. And when you have the fulfillment, the joy of experiencing a promised met in the form of real tangible progress, meaning you've done something you've never done before. Maybe you made a goal to write that book, and man, it's so difficult to really figure out how you're going to do it when you've never written a book before, you've never self-published before, you've never, I mean, what does that even look like? Well, you're going to need your life compass to navigate to that goal. And maybe you have a goal to make your relationships healthier and deeper and meaning and value and intimacy. It's possible, but you're going to have to navigate your way to get there. And you're going to have to stay centered, and you're going to have to expand your capacity, because that goal is not in isolation. It's not just one ball that you're juggling to keep up in the air like maintenance. No, you're really growing in a lifestyle of mastery. And leaders care about that journey. And they care about taking others on that journey too, because that's how we get everyone into the hopeful future. And so what's possible, the reason I shared this framework at the end is because if you really take this training to heart, what's possible is that you can make uncharted progress in every direction of your life at the same time. Instead of being fragmented, instead of being cluttered, instead of being stressed out, maxed out, stretched too thin, you say, man, I wish I had more to give to my business. I wish I had more to give to my community. I wish I had more to give to my hobbies and my goals, but I just don't have enough to give. I'm maxed out. When you invest in you and you grow your capacity and you are living out a meaningful life that no one else can take away from you, now you have more to give. You have more value to give. You have more wisdom to give. You have more joy to give. You have more confidence to give. You have more skills to give. You have so much more to give than just the rudimentary things that we equate as success. And when you're giving, you're really living. And as you're giving, you're sowing in just so many different fields, and you have no idea how God can use that to bless you and to bless others too. So I really urge you to check out my community. It's called the Uncharted Way. And if you're interested, you'll have some links to go check out more. But basically, this is just a monthly journey that we take throughout the year. It's a monthly subscription that you can make. And what you're going to get access to is self-paced, on-demand courses that will help you to grow your capacity, north, south, east, west. My flagship course is the starting block. It's called Pioneer the Year. It's helping leaders reclaim their time and expand their sense of territory. Finding your center is really the primer for it, but there's so much more that we can share. And then from there, there's live coaching every month. That's the standing commitment that I have with this community. And this is where we get to pull together, not in a presentation, but really in a conversation. And we're working on the tool. We're working on your 90-day plan. We're working on helping you make uncharted progress in every direction at the same time. It really is possible with some of these insights and other strategies involved. And then finally, there are amazing bonuses that you'll get access to. So the bonuses are going to change up just to help with creating some honest urgency to give you that motivation to join in. But go to that kind of details page, and you can join in from there. Thank you so much for checking this out. I hope that you got real value regardless of what you do next. And I hope that you are very restful and successful in all that you endeavor to do. And if you're a person of faith like me, then I bless you. And I want really, even if you're not, I love blessing people. So I'll bless you too, man. Jesus loves you, and just know that there are people that care about your success. You don't have to be the only one trying to figure this stuff out. In fact, the self-help stuff is just so draining and discouraging, because it promises the world and then gives you all the pieces, and it's just no good. I think that life is way more relational in more ways than one, and we've got to see how things connect and how our lives are connected. And so it's so valuable that you really find a tribe that you can journey with throughout the year. And that's what this is offering. It is a community that involves a course that will help you have the tools and the frameworks that you need to lead yourself And then there's also the ongoing support, the community aspect that's hosted by me. And I'm dreaming about it. I can't make promises on this front, but I'm dreaming about bringing in others and really creating community out of this. So, anyways, check it out. And in the meantime, stay encouraged, stay engaged. You really are going to make uncharted progress because you're learning how to lead your life from a centered place. And because of that, now you can expand your capacity more than you think. So, see you again in the next round.